What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Saturday evening. I know it looks bright out, but that's because it's summertime. But it is the evening, and beautiful day. About 80 degrees right now, 52% humidity. Saturday Evening Post. I used to read that when I was younger. I don't know if it's still around, but it was a great magazine. Great stories inside. Right now is like the perfect time. Kick back, rocking chair, open it up and read Saturday Evening Post. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's still around. Maybe it's online. A lot of magazines have gone online only. I used to get Men's Journal. Love that magazine. Guy said to me, I went to buy it one day. He's like, oh, it's online now. I don't like reading stuff online. I want to have the physical copy in my hands, flipping through. So, Lipton tea. Delicious. You know, a lot of people will say, hey, I drink, they'll name a fancy tea company, Kettle and Chamor. And I'll say, well, I've had all of those, and Lipton holds its own. It'd be like tea from the Titanic, tea from Paris, tea from, Hong Kong, whatever. Lipton tea, I don't know where they make it, where they pick it, I don't know all the details of that, but that's a good tea. Good tea, rich flavor. They have it down packed. They know what they're doing, so you can't go wrong with Lipton. So, last night, went with my bride and my children to see the new Superman movie. And I don't know if it's me, it just seems like every couple of months there's a new Superman movie out there. Remember years ago you had to wait a long time for them to make a sequel? Now it's like every year, boom, 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 sequel. New beginning, reboot. I remember watching Rocky, and you had to wait like 3 years for a new Rocky, sometimes even longer. Now it's like the new movies, they make one, and then they tell the guys, start writing it now. We know it's going to be a hit. And they start writing a sequel immediately, and then they get people together. It's crazy fast. Big difference from the old days. Although television now is the opposite. They'll release like 10 episodes, and then you gotta wait like a year and a half for them to make the next 10, and then another year and a half. By the time the new thing comes out, you forgot what the old stuff was about. You gotta go and rewatch it. So we went and we saw Superman. It was alright. A couple of times I fell asleep. I get nudged by my bride because she claims I snore in the theater. And she says during quiet scenes you can hear me all around, like surround sound snoring. I don't know if that's true, but anyway, she nudges, and I always tell her one nudge, I'm up, I'm awake, I'm like, what's going on? But she does many at a time, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I got it, and that annoys me. After the first one, it gets on my nerves, when you keep going. Just one time, I got it. But yeah, they nudged me a bunch of times in a row. So anyway, I sat there, I watched most of it, and it was good, decent movie, good effects. The thing that they don't listen to me. I wish they would. I want them to make a Superman that is in my reality. It doesn't have to be in my year. It could be in the past. I prefer it to be in the past, actually. I want to see Superman that that egg thing, whatever, when he comes from Krypton. I want to see that crash in the 1930s, right? Open up that field there, big hole, and then his earthly father and mother find him, and they adopt him. I don't know how they did it back then legally. I mean, didn't they show up at the school, and didn't they ask for papers, vaccination shots? I don't understand how that worked out. You show up, we get this kid. The first thing people would assume is like you kidnapped him, right? What are you going to say? We found him and we're raising him as our own. They want official papers. They want birth certificate. I guess maybe back then you can go and fake it, right? You can go to a print shop, print a fake birth certificate, and maybe fool the people. I don't know. But I know if I was like a principal of a school and somebody showed up with a kid, I would say, okay, I need some paperwork here. I need vaccination. I need doctor's, records. I need, not records, but I need a doctor's note saying that this kid's been checked out. everything's fine. You know, what doctor is going to look at this kid and not find something weird about him? I mean, how can they be that earthly? How can they be like, what, they're humanoid to that degree? I know yesterday they were mentioning that Superman's DNA. I'm like, really? He's DNA based like us? I don't know. And nothing's different inside. Like, you know, I heard one time he had like two hearts. Maybe he doesn't, but there's got to be something different. You know, they give him like blood pressure. His blood pressure's like totally different than ours, or the heart sounds different if he even has a heart. But they were able to fool everybody. Nobody asked for records. I understand that. Same thing with the Hulk, Bill Bixby. You know, David Banner, every single week had a new job. Nobody asked for references. Nobody asked for any kind of information about him, SS number, nothing. He just showed up. They said, okay, come work. You know, and some of those jobs were, you know, they were decent jobs. So I don't know. But I always wondered about that, how he went to school. You know, and how could you give somebody from a different planet a vaccination for humans? I think something would be, you know, be a problem there. You know, and the needle, would that enter easily? I mean, literally, you'd have to find a doctor and explain to them that this person here, this kid, is from a different planet, not from here. And then they would look at you like you needed to go into a psychiatric hospital. Nobody would believe that. Who'd believe that? They'd say, oh, okay, good thing you told me. I'm not going to do any, I'll just put that, you know, everything's fine. I gave him the vaccines. I mean, you'd have to have maybe like a cousin who's a doctor. And even then, they think you're crazy if you said that to them. But here's what I want to see, and I hope somebody out there is watching. I would like to see a Superman movie that takes place the way it's supposed to. Baby Superman comes in through the atmosphere, through space, boom, 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 crashes into a field in Iowa, I don't know where. And the year is like 1937. They have that family rescues him, adopts him somehow, fakes the paperwork. They could show that too. They could show, you know, maybe they go to a printer, he makes a fake, birth certificate, you know, and then they go to school, they go, here are the records, or it's all fake, but the school accepts it. And then I want to see it take place in the 1950s. I want to see 1950s cars, 1950s hairstyles. I want them to talk like Leave It to Beaver, like that show, the way they talk. That's the kind of linguistics I want to hear. I want to hear that kind of talk. You know, I want to hear swell. I want to hear, what's the other thing? G, a lot of G stuff in there. So that I would enjoy that kind of Superman. I mean, Christopher Reeves came very close. His took place in the 70s. It was realistic. It was Earth-based. You know, the only thing they had that was, you know, Lex Luthor, but he was very human-like. But yeah, I enjoyed that one. I went to see that with my father when I was a kid, and I liked it. It was a good realistic Superman, the way I thought that it should have been. But yeah, I'd like to see one take place as a child in the 30s, grows up, Great Depression, they're eating lentils a lot, and then in the 40s, you know, World War II ends in 45, and then in the 50s, he's all hip, greaser, has the hair combed back, black, jet black, with that little thing that hangs on the front. And then I want to see him get a job at the Daily Planet, but I want it to take place in the old days. In the old days, fighting criminals that are like, you know, named Lefty, Spanky, things like that, you know. I want him to fight criminals that are, you know, local muggers, right? I'm not interested in this special dimension thing and fighting weird other people with strength. And then I don't know where Krypton is originally, how far from Earth. I mean, it's got to be far. But they have a planet. It's called Krypton, and he, the strong guy, because we have one son, he has the son, the color. I don't know where he gets his strength from. I'm not sure even what the S means. I know it doesn't mean Superman, but I don't understand. Krypton, kryptonite, is that pieces of the planet? And why are they harmful to him? I mean, why is he so weak against them? Why? I don't understand that. You know, I mean, if somebody put me on another planet that's, I don't know, how it would have to be close, because he's not traveling that fast, right? So it would have to be somewhere nearby. And we know the closest Alpha Centauri is 4.2 light years from here, which would take about 70,000, 78,000 years traveling at 38,000 miles per hour, right? So he's not traveling that long. He's traveling, I don't know, maybe, I mean, he's a baby. I'm going by the 78 version, but he's a baby when he leaves, and then he's traveling, he's slow motion, he's growing, and then when he finally crashes, he looks like he's about 4 or 5 years old. So it can't be that far. Can't be that far, and yet we have nothing that close to us. That's another star that has a planet going around it. So nothing like that. We would have known about that. But anyway, so he shows up here. He's about 5 years old, and he's not traveling at 38,000 miles per hour. But let's say he is. That's not that far in terms of how the universe is. You know, I mean, I'm telling you that 4.2 light years will take about 70,000 miles. I mean, 70,000 years traveling at that speed to get there. And he was only traveling for a short time. Now, somebody can make the argument that he was traveling at the speed of light, and to him, he was traveling a very, very long time. But because he was traveling at the speed of light, or close to it, time dilation occurred, and then, you know, that's why he hasn't aged much. But from Earth's point of view, it would have been thousands of years. But that, you know, that's like really stretching it. So anyway, I'm a big fan of the original. I like the George Reeves Superman. I used to watch that when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, we had a crappy television set. It would hardly get that station. It was all, you know, hazy and snowy. But I would manipulate the channel where I would see it good enough for me, and I would sit there and watch it, and I enjoyed it, even though it was, like, by today's standards, very corny and all that. But I would like to see that kind of a Superman. Can't they make just one like that? I don't want to see any Lex Luthors. I don't want to see Mxyzptlk in there. I don't want to see, you know, the what do you call it? The what's the other Momo that you know, the dog. I don't want to see the dog. I don't know if the dog got involved with this movie. But I just want to see a 1950s grown-up Superman that has strength that is, you know, impressive, but nothing crazy. You know, I want to see him do what George Reeves did, but I don't want to see Ben Affleck playing it. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I want to see, I don't know who I want to see. I don't really have anybody in mind. Maybe an unknown, totally unknown actor. Somebody who's like maybe walking the streets of New York, and a talent agent sees him and goes, "Hey, you look like Superman, come here." And they go, "You're gonna be in a movie. Superman 1950s style. 1950s haircut. You know, tapered, faded on the sides and the back. A little bit longer on top. Maybe a little product in there. Comb to the back with a, I don't know if you have a little part here. Yeah, that's it. Don't add any extra characters. No Rumpelstiltskin. I don't want to see any of that. But they won't do it. That's the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeves was awesome. He looks like Superman. He wasn't you know, in some crazy reality. He was here now. 78. Maybe they get his son to play the 1950s version of Superman. And I don't know what that S. It looks like an S, but it's not. You know, they said that in the '78 one, they said that it was supposed to be the coat of arms, the S, kind of like their trademark as a family. That's why Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando, had that. But I think Marlon Brando wanted that, and so they created a story about that. But that's not what it is either. They should have said S is the periodic table's element on that planet for whatever they're made out of. These beings there, they're made out of that element, and so that's what the S is. It's S for silly person, you know, whatever, selenium or silicostio, pure element that only exists on that planet, and that's why they have the strength they have when they leave that planet. But yeah, I don't know, it's Superman. Oh, they are, that's Superman. And who came up with that? The parents that adopted him? Because I think on the original, the mother or the father or somebody, they knit Superman's outfit. How ridiculous is that? You know, that your mother decided this is what you should be wearing when you become, you know, Superman. So, but I am a fan. I enjoy watching, but I enjoy it more when it's like I described. I'm not going to go over it again, but you know, the old-fashioned Superman. When I was a kid, I would take the bus a lot, you know, public transportation, bus, train, and somebody's barbecuing with old-fashioned charcoal. You know that smell? Yeah, that's what I'm smelling. Anyway, when I was a kid, there was this guy who would ride the bus a lot, you know, passenger. And he looked exactly, when I say exactly, I'm not exaggerating, he looked exactly like George Reeves. Everything about him, the hairstyle, he even wore the glasses when George Reeves was Clark Kent. And if George Reeves was supposedly alive somewhere, I would have been like, yeah, that's him, he lives here now. Looked just like him. And back then we didn't have iPhones, otherwise I would have had like 20 pictures to show you. We're talking here, late 80s is when I discovered this George Reeves look-alike. Just exactly like him. Like if you take George Reeves and you put him through an app that ages him like, you know, 35, 40 years, he would look like that guy on the bus. So. Remember in the old days, every block had a fire alarm, you know, those old-fashioned ones where you had to pull down the thing and pull the switch inside. You don't see those anymore. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not paying attention like I should be, but I don't really notice those. And you know why? Because the cell phone came along and made those things obsolete. It kind of removes the false alarms. Now they know who's calling. They can trace that. They know, you know, who. Even if you do the what is it, star 82 or star 69, the block. Even if you do that, the most people don't know this, but the information gets through. It's coded, but there's software that can decode that. So a lot of people say I did star 69. Yeah, but if you call the wrong person that knows how to decode that, and it's really not that hard. They could figure out who you are. So yeah, the old days kids would, you know, they thought it was fun, pull the switch and run, and then, you know, go and hide somewhere and watch the chaos. Fire department showing up. You took them away from real fire because they had to come to you. And yeah, they should have a lesson in school about that. They should say, do not do that, because life and death situations like that you don't fool around with. You don't know when you pull that alarm, somebody else on the opposite side may be doing the exact same thing, but because you did it a moment sooner, they're coming to you, and yours is false, and the other side has a real emergency, and you know, you gotta understand that that's not cool. It's mostly kids that do that. Who does that? A grown person? I don't think so. So anyway, I think I'm gonna make a little bit more tea. A little bit more. That's it for now. Ciao.